Well, yeah, Randall's an omission, Hanny's an omission, who you might have expected to have played in a more withdrawn striking role, a 10 role. Mackenzie was terrific against St Louis in that second period, so it made sense to move Tyler inside, who has got experience of playing off the front man or certainly in an attacking central role. And we played with Mackenzie and Jacob in those wide attacking roles, and that gave us, as you might imagine, quite an athletic threat, some good width, and an opportunity to, gain some purchase and some connections in those wide areas. I couldn't be happier at where Tyler's at. He's made an immediate impact. Very intelligent footballer, very talented footballer, and a very versatile footballer. And on top of that, he's settled into the group very, very well. He's a really sound and honest personality. Some great things that we've seen already. And the same can be said for Mackenzie. His world very different to where Tyler's come from and maybe where their experiences lie. But a goal against St Louis in 45 minutes, as you said, an assist for the first goal today. And he actually had 2 one-on-one situations that on another day, I'm sure he'd feel as though he might have finished at least one of those off. So you can see that he's going to be an absolute threat going forward. And again, settling into the group very, very well.
We have upcoming questions from Tim Valer and then Claudio Villalobos. So please follow up in that order.
Hey, Gary. Obviously, you never want to be without a guy who's been a recent MVP, but knowing how reliant you guys have been on Hani the past couple of years, is there almost a bit of a blessing to have him, sitting out a preseason game so you can see what you have from some of the other offensive pieces that you can use to maybe have, more curveballs for your attack?
He's certainly given other players an opportunity. There's no doubt about that, Tim. I'd certainly like for his own fitness and preparation for him to be grabbing some minutes on Friday, but we'll see. He's certainly in a better position at this point in the week than he was same point last week. Making sure that he's physically capable of dealing with whatever minutes are thrown at him now. But yeah, for sure, Tyler, as I've just said, has shown us he's capable on the flanks. His connection for one of the goals against St Louis, great. Today, he looked a threat in a slightly different way. His pass he created the moment really for Jacob's ball and his own goal, although I thought Mackenzie might have actually scored as the ball was squared. But Tyler had followed that move on very, very well and was in a great spot to finish it off as well. We're seeing, like I said, a very impactful, intelligent, attacking player. And the one thing I'm looking forward to seeing regularly are Sam, Hanny, Tyler, and then you've got the likes of Randall, Jacob, Mackenzie. If all of those guys are fit and available, which of course we hope they will be, with the amount of games we've got coming up in the early part of the season, it's a nice group to be picking from.
Valer, go for it.
Hey Gary, Jacob Schaffelberg scoring again here in preseason. So first question is, I guess, how much can he take stock in preseason goals? The second part is also about Jacob Schaffelberg. Last season he started off really well and things kind of, from a scoring, from an end product standpoint, it just kind of didn't follow through. What does he have to do in order to continue that end product throughout the season?
Well, the first part of it, pre-season, is all about building confidence. It's about being ready for the start of the season, physically and otherwise. So it's been a very, very nice start for Jacob. So I'm sure he'll be feeling great about himself right now. In terms of managing to stay the distance and be consistent, you're talking about a player who's still developing and growing. He's still maturing. Is he 24? I may be wrong, but I thought he was 24. Christina's going to, come up with the stats quickly. But you've got a player nonetheless who has not been a regular, certainly in the Toronto team before I've been given the nod. It was 24, everyone. He wasn't a regular in the Toronto team. He came into our group. He made a massive impact. He gave us something we didn't have at the time. And maybe there were parts of the way we played that were a little bit more difficult for him to actually deal with as well. I'm asking those guys to work hard off the ball as well. And Jacob, probably more than anyone that I've ever seen, plays at 1,000 miles an hour all the time. And his pace, his intensity, certainly going forward, hugely difficult to deal with. But also difficult for him to manage as well in certain parts of the game. So I think this year, this full pre-season with us again, it'll be a nice period of time for him really to, I think, find those foundations and feel good about himself.
Claudio. Claudio, you're muted. All right, we're gonna go on to Ben, back to Ben Wright, and then we can
I heard
hear
him.
you now.
I heard him.
There you go. Claudio, the internet, the connection is really poor, so we're gonna let Ben Wright go, and then maybe you can go back. Ben, go ahead.
You get that. Gary, I wanted to ask you about Drew. We saw him obviously get a start and looked like he played a longer period than he did last time. What did you see from him today? And I know you've talked a lot about kind of wanting a different look from the midfield. What kind of, maybe if you are able to give some specifics of what you're looking for, what are you looking for, and how do you feel like that kind of adaptation to a new look is going?
Yeah, both him and Sean played 45 minutes a day after sharing a half a game against St. Louis. Drew has the ability to get higher up the field, and I think as we see him settle into this group physically and he feels comfortable with what he's capable of, and by that I mean his aerobic capacity, I think we're going to see a player who has certainly the qualities to join the attack, but also the recovery, energy and tenacity to break up attacks. At this moment, it's all about trying to find the right balance. Does he work better with Sean? Annabelle's just got himself back into the group as well today. A little bit more work to be done to get Annabelle up to speed. But, Brian's in that mix as well. Who are going to be those guys that you look at as the best pairing? As far as maybe one or two things that we've started to look at and try to introduce, can we find a way? Do we have the willingness and the energy to be a little bit more aggressive on both sides of the ball at the start of the game? That's a mindset as much as it is, a capacity thing. And today, against a different team, I thought we found that a little bit more difficult, and there's some wrinkles to be ironed out. That was to be expected. The second period today, with the same group, we showed a much greater aptitude to restricting, winning the ball higher. There was much better change of pace. So slowly but surely, it's building those bonds and those relationships. It's getting that timing right. It's actually working certain players in a different way. Some of the wide players are not used to the positions they're in and restricting in certain areas. So there's some ground to be covered, but some nice signs.
Claudio, let's try one more time.
All right, is it better now?
Much better.
Thank you, Christina. Gary, as difficult as it is this early in the season to kind of have an idea of how you're going to be doing stuff, when is it the time to switch gears and say, hey guys, we're going to have a very important game to begin the season with, away in an unknown place like Dominican Republic? When is it time to actually do that? Which is, I don't know if you've ever been in this position before.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think I would say this, Claudio. Given our schedule, yes, the Dominican game against Mocha is going to be a very exciting and important game for the club. And we you know, everything's planned towards being ready for that. What I don't want to dismiss or miss is the fact that we have some very challenging games and a very tough schedule to open up our calendar this year. And we're going to need a group of players that are ready. So therefore, yes, I'm balancing the minutes or trying to, and I want to make sure that as many of these players are clear and concise about what we're trying to achieve and happy in the environment that they're working. But I think just to maybe be a little bit more pointed to your question, maybe the last game of our pre-season, although it's not away, Claudio, it will be at Geodis. I would imagine that the vast majority of players that start that game and play the lion's share of minutes might well be the guys that go out and face Mocha the following week. So these other games, so Toronto on Friday, and then we go back and play, I believe, Birmingham the following Wednesday. Those games will still be preparational. There'll be competitive training games that we need to, you know, clean up certain areas of our game, and they'll both be 120 minutes so that we can get as much football for the majority of guys as well. We're going to need everyone in those early exchanges of the season.
Tim, take us home.
Hey Gary, we always seem to be asking you about the attack, and nobody gives some love to your defensive guys. Lucas basically ended up being a starter over the course of last season with injuries and unavailability to Walker and some other things too. How did you feel that the unit that went out today performed? And do you think when you look at him, when you look at Taylor, that you have guys who are 1B rather than second string sort of guys?
Yeah, if I look at the group that went out today, there's a couple of things that strike me defensively. The first one is you'd say two out of our maybe most senior and possibly best back line were not available in Walker and Daniel. So that's the first thing. The second thing is those guys, be it Jack and Lucas, have played together quite a bit last year. So they're not unaccustomed to each other, but they've actually got bodies in front of them that they've not seen a lot of. You know, it shouldn't be dismissed losing guys like Dax and then Annabelle being out of the equation, who they will have seen in front of them an awful lot. You've got Sean, who's coming back from a little niggly problem in the off-season, who was fantastic in the second period today again, and a new addition in Drew. So there's a lot of bonding and building that's going on, but nevertheless, I thought we limited Kansas to very few opportunities. The goal was a strange one. I got to look back at it. I asked Jack if he could get his head on it, but I didn't get a clear answer out on the field. But it looked like he should have cleared the ball. I don't know why. It might have got a deflection. And then they had a good chance when Tommy went in behind and lobbed Joe. Other than that, I've got to say, I thought the unit did a good job. And there will have been some good mileage out of today's game, under some pressure at times, but still being able to create some very good openings and some good opportunities. If you look at the other end of the field, you know, one disallowed. Sam and Jacob combining when I thought maybe Sam might have taken it on his own. Mackenzie with two one-on-one situations. The first one, I think he stumbled over the goalkeeper rather than the goalkeeper actually making a good save on that. So some really good things to come out of it, Tim. But as per usual in pre-season, nothing is perfect. And I don't think there's any team in that world. So we'll keep working hard at making sure that back four, Joe, and the work in front of them is as good as any in the league.
They call that going full shepherd on the podcast, is when I butcher one of my lines like that.
Never go full shepherd.
No.